Well, hello, and welcome to my Tales of Arise review. Keep forgetting the name of this game for some reason, but no, thank you, Kisara. Um, but anyway, I will quickly give a TLDR in case anyone doesn't want any spoilers, because when I do show off some things, you might show off like the party. I will show off the final mission quest name, so in case you don't want any spoilers, the TLDR of this game, it's good, with a bit of a So the gameplay, as far as I'm aware, is basically Tales of. Like there's no real explaining that. Like if you've played a Tales of game, you probably know where I'm coming from with that, especially at least with Berseria, more of that. I will show it off, but yeah, so the gameplay's fine. It has a somewhat in-depth system, although the combat is automatic, so obviously you press a button and it does a flashy move for you. You can at least string them together and string together 9 moves, so you've got 6 ground moves and I think 6, oh no, you might have 12. I actually haven't tested this. Which have 6 ground moves and at least 3 air moves. You may have 6 air moves, I've not tested it to be honest. But it's at least combo enough that if you want to obviously juggle those guys in front of me and, you know, dish out a crap ton of damage in one go, then you can do. And it is very nice that you can do that. Then obviously in terms of the story, it is a fairly anime cliche story for me personally. Like, the events of this game happen, and there are some, to me, there are some instances in this story where you just get some characters squabbling and bickering with each other for no reason, and I'm just not a fan of that. Like I say, 1 minute it's, oh, let's blah 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 do thing, and then the next minute it's, no. And at the beginning of the game, I get that because obviously the characters are who they are, but more towards the halfway mark and slightly past that, there are still some instances where the characters are still a little bit sort of, you know, bickery to one another, and it's kind of just annoying. So, as far as the TLDR is concerned, combat is good, story, you take it or you leave it. Obviously I'm not a massive fan of it, but you might really enjoy it. But yeah, so from this point forward, obviously there might be some spoilers. But yeah, so obviously I hope the TLDR is good enough. Yeah, so now into not spoiler heavy stuff, I suppose, but just more explaining. I do like this game in terms of the way that it's made, where is it? So obviously right at the beginning of the game, obviously I just show this off. Like obviously you start from here, obviously this is the beginning of the game, so no real spoilers. And obviously it's a very linear game, and I'm fairly certain that all, if not a lot of the Tales of games are probably like this, but with this game in particular, it's a very linear game with some offcuts where you can get some items needed for crafting, new items, weapons, accessories and a lot. I do also like how there's a fast travel point at every camp and or a lot of the time outside major cities. So again, this game is convenient and I like that. Because I'm not a fan of playing big... Like, imagine if this was just one big empty... Well, one big area here, all of this would then just be filled with crap that you don't really want to do. But by having it being linear, you can sort of focus on what you want to put and where it wants to go. And I like that. I do like that things are relatively placed within reason. So the thing that I do like is obviously with the camps, obviously you can rest and sleep and eat food, which gives you buffs. You also have your main guy who you can talk to, who obviously you can buy and sell weapons. Sorry, make weapons, because you can't buy them. But make weapons, create accessories, and buy your armors and any healing items, some foods and stuff that you need. I do really like that, because again, even though this game does have a fast travel system where you can go to any inn at any point in this entire game, so even if he wasn't here and I had to skip to an inn somewhere to create my weapons and accessories and come back, you're only losing like maybe 30 seconds at best, having to travel out and travel back again. So I wouldn't necessarily fault the game even if it did that, but by having this random stranger here basically being your movable in, it makes it for a much more convenient game. And the other thing that I'm going to show off, I can absolutely adore, there is a fishing mechanic in this game. It's worthless. It's not really anything worthwhile doing. But, and obviously this goes into the convenience side of this game.
I hope we catch something decent.
Obviously on the bottom right hand side you can see where you can collect certain fish. So obviously the Vespa sea bass, the mackerel and whatnot. And obviously you have laws. By using the said law, obviously where it says easy catches, if you use the said law with what you can find here in the island,
What do you think about that spot?
go even well.
I'll go for
And if you also use the button combo, so like obviously square X for Vespa sea bass, triangle triangle for the mackerel and so on, you will 100% guarantee getting that fish all the time. And that ties into, like say, with the whole way that the maps are built as to why it's convenient and why I really like it. Because otherwise this game would just be very, very annoying to do things to get around, because they could have just made that completely RNG based, so I'm thankful they didn't. I'm going to try and, I suppose, and show off some combat. I'm probably not going to because I'm going to be so over leveled. But yeah, no, this isn't really going to work. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to go to a location. No, I can't. Potential spoilers.
We're all right, Alvin.
But yeah, so I mean, I'll have to show it off this way. Where is it? Field guide artifacts. Obviously, there are some hidden artifacts in this game that also give you buffs. So like these ones carry your stuff over to New Game Plus, and obviously you can get like more ores, better cooking effects, and XP and whatnot. The one that I am looking for is 1 damage. Is it enabled? Yes, it is. So basically, I just receive 1 damage and I dish out 1 damage, just so I can sort of show off a bit of the combat. So obviously, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff that you can combine together. And obviously you can go even further, because then you can hold L2, which I've not done for some reason, because then obviously you can tie more stuff together. Oh yeah, no, and you get 3 more in the air, I think. So if you do get 3 more in the air, then great, lovely. So you can have 12 combos that you can combine together to basically kick the shit out of any monster in the entire game. Obviously I will now run away, because obviously I can't kill this with 1 damage. Not when these things have like 20,000 HP. But yeah, as I said, the combat is really well done, and obviously combining all those moves together. I don't know why I'm picking up this. But obviously moving them all together like that, you can combine stuff together that makes this game really good, and you can juggle enemies for a while and dish out a crap ton of damage. And the other thing that I do really like, the other thing that I do really like is craft weapons in this game. Only killing enemies will give you craftable weapons. Oh, sorry, not craftable weapons, but materials for crafting once I find the correct button. Where is it? Enemy info. So obviously, as you can see there, this thing right at the beginning of the game will drop a hard bone and a spherical shell. The spherical shell is rarer to drop because it is a level 2 item. But this game does have, which I can show off with an item. That on the right hand side that you can see, which is now 2.5. The more you fight and kill enemies, the more that meter fills up. The more that meter fills up, the higher the chance of getting the rarer drops from monsters. Which is a really cool, neat gimmick. Because that means if you come into an area such as this, and where you start here, and you run through the entire location killing everything, you will always, no matter what, get more than enough materials required to get your weapons when you unlock more to craft as the game progresses. So if you're someone like me, obviously when I played this and I just rinsed in like every map with every enemy, very, very rarely was I missing like 1 item. And even if I was, again, you can just look up the bestiary guide, find who's dropping it, go to them, and then get it that way. You can also... No, I don't want arts. You can also, if you fill out the meter, it then goes blue. Which basically, and I shit you not, if an enemy is meant to drop like a rare item and it only drops it maybe once, if you get this blue bar, I've had it times where enemies have dropped the rare item and given me like 8 of them. So, as much as rare items are for enemy drops, they're not that rare because obviously you can just buy that bottle or just kill a few enemies and go through an entire map, and by the time you're done you will have 30 items when you only need like 6. So again, it's very convenient, and what it does is, obviously if you want to kill everything, you will never be in a position where you need to grind for materials. The other benefit is if you find, obviously this thing that I just picked up earlier, these ores, they're only used for crafting accessories, which again narrows everything down to what you need it to be, so you know killing monsters is for weapons, getting ores are for accessories, and then like say armor, you either find them or you buy them from the store. So armor you can pretty much never miss. The only downside I suppose to this game is the money, although I do have 500,000 gold, sorry. Although I do have 500,000 gold, that's from obviously beating the game and grinding to level 100. But even if you do all the side content in this game, you get just enough money to craft the necessary weapons and buy the necessary armors as and when you get them. That's the only thing that I guess is lacking from this game, is just enough money, because the thing is with this game, if we look at obviously this, like, you need pineapple gel, because pineapple gel fills up your CP, which basically, if you're playing as your more magic users, Alphen doesn't use CP at all because he's a melee build. But if you play as any of the other characters who use magic, then you use CP, and when you go down, like the res CP costs like, I think like 40 or something, and at the beginning of the game when you're being res for 40 CP, that's a lot of your magic, just mana gone. So buying orange gels, because you don't get pineapple gels for a while, but buying orange gels, I personally was never in a scenario where I could feasibly look at either buying armor or crafting a weapon to then have enough money left over to buy some orange gels or some life bottles which res you for KO. Like even life bottles are expensive, and they're $1,000, and they're expensive because they heal you for free, but you can only carry 15. But I was even in some scenarios where I couldn't buy orange gels because I couldn't even buy life bottles. That's how poor I was in this. Now again, when I'm someone who ran around collecting everything on every map and I was out of money, it kind of shows. But so that's kind of all the good stuff with this game, I suppose. I'm not really forgetting anything, I don't think. So I guess now it's all the negatives. They're not really negatives, they're just kind of things that I'm not a massive fan of. And it's kind of personal opinion. The story, as I kind of mentioned with the TLDR, not a massive fan of it. The story's fine, but like I said, there are just too many scenarios for me personally where these people are bickering amongst each other, and it just doesn't make sense for any reason. Like at the beginning of the game with Alphen and Shion, your two major characters, when they're bickering it makes sense because the story that's given is, and obviously this is thrown out at the beginning of the game anyway, but Alphen and Shion are two different people. So obviously if you look up into the sky, there are two planets. Alphen is from this planet, Shion's from the other planet, the better planet, because her people have enslaved Alphen's people. Like I say, the beginning of the game just tells you all of this anyway. So because of that, you can understand the sort of negative thoughts towards one another, because obviously she's enslaving them, he's a slave to her, you know, those kind of things. So it makes sense at the beginning, but then more towards the halfway mark, it's kind of like, at this point, I'm like your only friend, you know, with what happens in the story, and it's like, there still shouldn't be some bickering between one another, and I'm not a fan of it. The only other thing I'm definitely not a fan of, I did play this game, I didn't beat this game, so So obviously you've got different difficulty settings. You've got story, normal, moderate, and hard. I played this entire game on moderate. I only basically did all the grinding and whatnot on easy because I'm not going to play the game at that point on moderate. You know, when I can play it on easy just to get to level 100 to get a platinum trophy. So obviously I basically played the game on. If this is normal, then this is harder than normal but easier than hard. If that makes any sense, obviously you'll understand. And there are a lot of situations where you're in a boss fight and a boss will do a move and the AI, for me, just stands there staring at it and then gets murdered almost immediately. Again, kind of why I hate and had pretty much no money to buy the CP items or the res items, because I'm having to use so many of them in boss fights because the AI is too stupid to move out of the way 9 times out of 10. Or sometimes Shion, your main healer for a long time, sometimes just flat out does not heal herself. And it is frustrating sometimes. Like, it doesn't happen often enough. It's just the thing that I said that is really annoying is just the fact that your AI is sometimes dumb enough to just stare at a boss, do its like ultimate move, and then just die almost immediately. And it's just sometimes really, it just irks me. It does, because like the AI should be more than capable. Like if the boss is sitting there powering up a move and it fires it forwards, and the AI is just sitting there punching away in front of its face, and then it dies. It's just annoying. Like they're very easily dodged telegraphed attacks. The only other thing I do hate with the gameplay is, as you saw with the combos, you're stuck in an animation for so long, and when you're stuck in a million-yard stab move animation, say that lasts for 2 seconds, again, if a boss is sitting there doing nothing and you're just wailing away at them, and then all of a sudden they just do something that then you can't dodge because you're stuck in the middle of an animation, it's annoying because, again, I then become that idiot who's staring a boss down and getting hit by a move that I can dodge, but I can't because I'm stuck in the middle of an attack move. Again, it's just frustrating and a little annoying. It is. But, yeah. I mean, I don't really have much more to say than that for this game. I suppose, I mean, I'm probably missing some stuff, but I guess for the most part that's kind of what I want to say. Like I said, the gameplay is fine. It does have its annoying moments, like I just mentioned, and the story, take it or leave it. I'm not a fan, but you might enjoy it. And at the end of the day, I played this game for 56 hours and 40 minutes, and I 100%ed it and platinumed it. If I didn't enjoy the game at all, I'd have just beaten the game on easy and moved on. So, the game itself is fine, I like it, but I'm just not a fan of the cliche anime sort of story myself. But yeah. Obviously, if you have any questions, do leave them in the comments below. Obviously, I'll try and answer them if you do have anything, but yeah. I hope this review was in any way informative from my basis. Go away, Shion. Yeah, obviously, hopefully this is informative on my basis. But yeah. So obviously, I'll see you in the next one. I don't know when the next one is. The next one's probably Metroid, if I'm going to be honest. But yeah, I'll see you then. Obviously, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ta.